So here we are at number 3, and this mural is done by Santos. And a little bit of history about this wall. I have a audiovisual aid. So this wall was painted over this year, and the original mural, I'm going to pass this around for you, just take a look at it. So a few years ago, John Lamb, a local Oceanside artist, painted this mural on this wall, and just this past year, in connection with the owner of the building and a local arts advocate, Dinah Polnitz, Santos painted over it. There was a little bit of drama, and the reason is that something that we all have to keep in mind is that murals are impermanent. And that's a really important part of experiencing them, to know that they could be painted over at any time, you know, really appreciate them while they're around. So I want to ask Maria to talk a little bit about Santos. He was supposed to be here today, but unfortunately a couple of his kids are sick, so he couldn't make it. But he really wanted to be here to talk to you about his piece, so let's have Maria talk a little bit about him.
Hi. So Santos is originally from Honduras, and I got to hear him speak at the Lux Art Institute, where he had a small exhibition, and it was a really interesting story. It was very, it really connected him culturally to how he makes his art. And he talked about coming to the States as a young boy, and he lived in the Hudson Valley in a small city there, Poughkeepsie. I don't know if any of you know it. In any case, and he was pretty poor. And so the culture in Honduras was that you hustled. You hustled when you were really young, you hustled as you grew older, and you were constantly figuring out new and creative ways to make money. So Santos brought that kind of cultural ethos to his life in Poughkeepsie, and he hustled. And so he wound up at the tennis courts of a country club, where he was like picking up balls and getting paid to do that. And then he advanced and he became more engaged and more involved. And then he became ultimately a tennis pro. And he got a scholarship to go to college, and he sent himself through college as a tennis pro, where he became a pharmacologist. So he got a chemistry degree and did very, very well for himself, moved to Southern California, and really, when he decided what he really wanted to do, he decided he really wanted to be an artist. And so he put in the time in his professional career in order to make the transition to become a visual artist. And so now he has a beautiful studio in Carlsbad that's about 10,000 square feet. It's in a warehouse. And he talked a little bit about how he makes his art and what this imagery connects to. So being from Honduras, he, if you look at this, does this remind you of any kind of imagery that you would see in Latin, South America, Central America?
My calendar.
That's right, like Mayan and Aztec, right? That hieroglyphs of that culture. And so that is, and he's bringing it forward in terms of making it contemporary and relevant to his experience now. But he uses it as a storytelling motif. And so you'll recognize Santos's work. It can look different. There are different color combinations. There are different ways that he manifests this. But often it's this one line that then becomes a story. And as you get to know him, he'll tell you a little bit, and I'm sorry I don't have any inside tips for this particular mural, but he does tell you about the motifs, and it starts to become a kind of storytelling imagery. And you start seeing the images and you start seeing the story. So anyway, that's what I have to tell and share about Santos. Any questions? Yes?
Why paint over the previous one?
Why paint over the previous one? He was invited to do that. It wasn't his decision to paint over the other one. I will share with you, though, that it is kind of a tradition in the street culture to actually layer street art. So they are often very temporary, and it's also more common that if you are tagging someone's going to tag over your tag. And then also, if you do, like, a lot of the art in sidewalk activism, you'll notice are like broadsides that have been added to, what is it called when you do the when they're not whitewashing it? Adam, do you remember what it is? What? I can't hear you. Yeah, and so then you'll have like if you have like somebody's poster that's been put up on a wall and you think yours trumps it, you culturally have the right to put your piece over it. But there's kind of an ethic or an honor system that if your piece isn't good or better than the one you're covering, you shouldn't do it. Go figure how you decide that, but anyway, that was shared with me, so. So the owners of the building agreed to have him paint this over. The artist who had the previous artwork wasn't told that it was going to be done, so that was the controversy that Brigid was talking about. And then there were some people that people like to stir the pot, and so there were people who were kind of helping to aggravate the conversation around it. But it's not unusual to have a temporary piece, and that piece had been here for a long time, right?
And I just want to say everybody worked out any animosity they had and everybody's friends now, so it's all good. All right, the next place we're going to stop is if you want to go down to Seagaze, cross, and then go around the corner to Freeman. I'll lead so you guys can follow. I just want you to take note. There's a little plaque on the wall of the building that talks about one of the original doctors in Oceanside, and that information we'll revisit later in the tour.